invite you now to experience with me some years in America's history that some of you remember and some of you were not around to remember, but which we can experience together now and which we can learn from and which many people have learned from to continue to make farming in this country a productive and healthy enterprise. Let's go back to the 1930s. Let's imagine a time of a little bit less technology, a little bit less mechanization, a little bit smaller cities, a little bit more area of the country devoted to farming, and a lot of hard times. In every direction, as far as you could see, there was wheat. Amber waves of grain, said Catherine Lee Bates in America the Beautiful when she spent a summer at the Colorado College and hiked up Pikes Peak. They were bringing farmers $1 a bushel in 1927. The first crop came out of roughly uprooted sod. A steel plow broke a line through the prairie grass and flipped it over to both sides. Seed was planted in the furrow. About 17 inches of rain a year was just enough to make the perfect wheat kernel by harvest time. The next year, and the year after that, sod was broken up and plowed under till the topsoil was loose and fine and soaked up even the scantiest of rain showers. A new one-way plow with metal discs on a beam made a powdery mulch on the surface of the field. Yield increased from 20 to 30 to 50 bushels per acre. It seemed as if the Great Plains of America could keep the whole world in bread. Woody Guthrie, born in Oklahoma in 1912, was reflecting on the prosperous 20s when he started writing Talkin' Dust Bowl Blues. Back in 1927, had a little farm and I called it heaven. Well, the price was up and the rain come down and I hauled my crops all into town and I got money. Bought clothes and groceries, fed the kids, raised a family. Rain quit and the wind got high and a black old dust storm filled the sky and I swapped my farm for a Ford machine, poured it full of gasoline and I started a-rockin' and a-rollin' over the mountains and out toward the old Peach Bowl. Way up yonder on a mountain road, I had a hot motor and a heavy load. I was going pretty fast, wasn't stopping, bouncing up and down like popcorn popping. Had a breakdown, kind of a nervous bust down of some kind. There was a fella there, a mechanic fella, said it was engine trouble. Well, way up yonder on a mountain curve, it was way up yonder in the piney woods, I gave that rolling Ford a shove. I was going to coast as far as I could, commenced to coasting, picking up speed. There was a hairpin turn, I didn't make it. Man alive, I'm telling you, the fiddles and the guitars really flew. The Ford took off like a flying squirrel, flew about halfway around the world, scattered wives and children's all over the side of that mountain. We got out to the west coast broke, so dadgum hungry I thought I'd croak. I bummed up a spud or two. My wife fixed up a tater stew. We poured a lot of that tater stew down them children's throats. It was mighty thin stew. You could have read a magazine through it. I always have figured that if it had been just a little bit thinner, some of these here politicians might even have been able to see through it. Prosperity was too good to last. Bottom fell out of the New York Stock Exchange in October 1929. The value of commodities, including wheat, plummeted. Surpluses on the market, a panic of selling with no balance of buying, and a long history of unregulated speculation were all catching up with the system. The farmers planted more wheat to make up for a 75% drop in prices. Smaller farms, the ones that had no more land to plant, fell rapidly into foreclosure or were sold to pay back taxes. Little note from the bank, little piece of paper from the sheriff, and a lifetime of hard work was gone.
Just a wandering worker, I'd go from town to town, and the blue police make it hard wherever I may go. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. My brothers and my sisters are stranded on this road, a hot, dusty road that a million feet have trod. Rich man took my home and drove me from my door. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. I was farming on the shares and always I was poor. The crops I laid into the banker's store. My wife took and died upon the cabin floor. I ain't got no home in this world anymore. Now I just ramble around to see what I can see. This side of the wicked world's a funny place to be. The gambling man is rich and the working man is poor. And I ain't got no home in this world anymore.
Charlie Guthrie, Woody Guthrie's father, was in the land trading business. During one particularly bad month, he marked each passing day with the loss of another farm. So the Guthries joined the growing number of families facing poverty and joblessness. Some Oklahomans could understand why a promising young man like Charlie Floyd, Pretty Boy as he was called, would give up on honest industry and take to the outlaw trail. Woody Guthrie wrote a baker's dozen of verses to justify Pretty Boy Floyd's alleged Robin Hood of the Plains generation.
Gather round me, children, a story I will tell. A pretty boy, the outlaw, Oklahoma knew him well. Saying the town is Shawnee, it was Saturday afternoon. His wife beside him in a wagon, as into town they Deputy Sheriff approached him in a Others tell you of a stranger that came to beg a meal, and underneath his napkin left $1,000 bill. Papers say that pretty boy had robbed the bank each day while he was sitting in some farmhouse 300 miles away. There's an Oklahoma City, it was on Christmas Day. There come a carload of groceries with a letter that did say, well, you say I am an outlaw, you say I am a thief. Here's a Christmas dinner for the families on relief. Now through this world I ramble, I see much funny men. Some will rob you with a 6-gun, and some with a fountain pen. But as through this life you travel, and through the life you roam, you won't ever see an outlaw drive a family from their home.
Now, for a while, oil derricks had sprouted up in Oklahoma and Texas, standing on the prairies like so many four-legged storks. Nobody minded at all when some get-rich dreamer drilled 10, 12, 15,000 feet deep and finally hit a gusher. It meant jobs for the roughnecks who built the oil rigs, business for the merchants in town, and buyers for the growers of wheat and livestock. Men would drive, walk, hitch freight cars hundreds of miles to find work and cash in the oil boom. Many of the oil strikes occurred on American Indian lands. All of a sudden, people had pressured the government to have the Indians moved hither and yon to make room for white settlers, became very interested in their red brothers. The ever-democratic Woody Guthrie observed, before their Indians got their money, they were allowed to marry a Negro but not a white. And after the Indians got their money, they were allowed to marry whites but not Negroes. Brotherly love between the races sometimes appears to be a matter of economics and timing. But drought is also very democratic and brought hard times without discriminating between the races. By 1930, many of the oil wells had played out or settled down to a steady output that didn't require any special attention from the owners. Crews of workers moved on, and the old-timers sat back to look at the remains of their communities. The oil runoff then in better times had looked like a floating rainbow on the surface of a stream, now revealed itself as a greasy scum surrounding schools of dead fish. The reeds and grasses in the creek bottom lands were withered and gray. Trees and wild grapevines had grown tired of trying to push fruit and leaves through the sticky, dusty residue that coated everything. Maybe it would rain a little more next year, wash the land clean again. True, there was a slight drop in moisture from the year before, but it was just an off year, nothing to worry about, right? Well, the spiritual blues song, "Gonna Keep My Skillet Greasy," characterizes the optimism that is a trait of many Midwest farmers.
Oh, the times they're very hard, I'm gonna get me a dime's worth of lard. Gonna keep my skillet greasy if I can. If I can, if I can, I'm gonna keep my skillet greasy if I can. I will go to Old Man Jean's, get myself a sack of beans. I'm gonna keep my skillet greasy if I can. If I if I can, I'm gonna keep my skillet greasy if I can. Oh, the rabbit's in the log, I ain't got no rabbit dog. I'm gonna keep my skillet greasy if I can. If I if I can, I'm gonna keep my skillet greasy if I can.
I think I'll wet my whistle if I can. By 1930, there were about 20 million people out of work in the United States. They weren't the only ones talking about the Depression. Those who had a little savings used it up fast. Some families with even sizable nest eggs in the bank lost them when the banks ran out of money. President Hoover insisted that the economic health of the country is not the realm of the federal government, confined himself to fairly conservative measures. The poor showed their support for the president by waving Hoover flags, their empty trouser pockets. The cars they couldn't afford to repair were hitched behind horses or mules and renamed Hoover wagons. The homeless who slept in city park benches tucked themselves in at night under newspaper Hoover blankets. And the homeless on the move constructed Hoovervilles out of cardboard, flattened tin cans, anything else they could salvage. Some even welcomed the opportunity for being thrown into the shelter of the local jail for a night or two. A song of the 1890s was also an economic depression, though not of a scale that could even be imagined in the 1930s. This song was revived then during the 1930s hard times. When I get to the refrain, I imagine you're going to recognize it. Why don't I work like other men do? How the hell can I work when there's no work to do? Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout and revive us again. Now who could resist that refrain? I'll sing it again. You sing it with me. Here we go. So I'll start with hallelujah. What better word to start out with, eh? Take a deep breath. You're slouching, folks. Here we go. Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout and revive us again. There you go. Oh, I love my boss, and my boss loves me, and that is the reason that I'm so hungry. Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout and revive us again. Actually, it was a religious revival song from the tent revivals of the 1890s, but if we borrow a tune here or there, who's going to know the difference? Oh, the springtime has come, and I'm just out of jail, without any money, without any bail. Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout and revive us again. I went to a house and I knocked on the door. A lady came out, says, "You've been here before." Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout and revive us again. Well, no handout from that back door. We'll just try another one. I went to a house and I asked for some bread. A lady came out, says, "The baker is dead." Hallelujah, I'm a bum. Hallelujah, bum again. Hallelujah, give us a handout and revive us again. When spring fairness to President Hoover, neither he nor anyone alone could have anticipated the depths of this Great Depression, the likes of which no one had ever seen before. Well, like so many others in the 30s, Woody Guthrie and his family hit the road in search of more lucrative and satisfying circumstances. His parents, being both musical, had taught him ballads, spirituals, blues, square dances when he was a child. He learned to play the harmonica from a black shoeshine boy in Oklahoma who imitated the lonesome-sounding train whistles going by. These talents and odd jobs helped to pay Woody's way to Texas, where he joined up with the rest of his family. His observations came out in song forms that were easy to remember, with repeating lines. This song, composed by both Woody Guthrie and Lee Hayes, who sang with the well-known group The Weavers for many years, going down the road.
I'm going down this old dusty road. Yes, I'm going down this old dusty road. I'm blowing down this old dusty road, Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way.
That refrain comes at the end of every verse. I ain't going to be treated this way. You can sing it with me.
I'm going where the water tastes like wine. I am going where the water tastes like wine. I am going where the water tastes like wine, Lord, Lord. I ain't gonna be treated this way.
You probably also noticed that the first line of the song is repeated 3 times, then the refrain comes up. So now you know all the verses as soon as I sing one line of it.
I'm going where them dust storms never blow. I'm going where those dust storms never blow. I'm going where those dust storms never blow, Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way. They say I am a Dust Bowl refugee. They say I am a Dust Bowl refugee. They say I am a Dust Bowl refugee, Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm looking for a job at honest pay. I'm looking for a job at honest pay. I'm looking for a job at honest pay, Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way. My children need 3 square meals a day. My children need 3 square meals a day. My children need 3 square meals a day, Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way. I'm blowing down this old dusty road. I'm blowing down this old dusty road. I'm blowing down this old dusty road, Lord, Lord, and I ain't gonna be treated this way.
Rainfall was now down by several inches per year across 20 Midwestern states. Tenant farmers and suitcase farmers, those absentee owners, left their bare, disked fields for the winds to blow. And in 1932, the dust storms came. The ones that blew down from the north came in low, boiling clouds and were called black northerns or black blizzards. The ones that originated in the southwest were dusters. They spread a high, thin, dusty mist 70,000 feet or more into the air. People hung wet blankets over their windows to keep the dust out. They went to sleep with wet cloths over their faces so they could breathe through the night. When they woke up, the imprint of their heads remained the only clean spot on the dusty muslin pillowcases. There was grit in their teeth, dirt in their noses, sand in their ears and eyes. The dust pneumonia cough became the universal call of the people who stayed on the Great Plains. Well, some people, I suppose, could find humor even in such a debilitating condition. Panhandle A&M College in Goodwell, Oklahoma, recorded 70 severe dust storms in 1933 alone. Those farmers who were still trying to farm strung wire from barn to cellar to house so they could make their round of chores without getting lost in their own backyards. Cattle suffered the worst of all the livestock. Unable to root like pigs or scratch into the dirt like chickens, they sometimes subsisted on nothing more than tumbleweeds, yucca and cactus, which their owners rendered spine-free by holding the cactus over a weed burner. Mr. Lloyd French of Cimarron County expended 550 gallons of kerosene in 1 year burning the spines off a cactus for his cattle. Woody often took phrases from some of his songs and recycled them into additional songs that he wrote. He also co-opted many traditional folk tunes and recycled them over and over. So some of these tunes will sound familiar to you. I'm a Dust Bowl refugee, just a Dust Bowl refugee, from that Dust Bowl to the Peach Bowl. Now that peach fuzz is killing me. Cross the mountain to the sea, come the wife and kids and me. It's a hot old dusty hideaway for that Dust Bowl refugee. Hard it's always been that way, here today and on our way, down that mountain, across the desert, just a Dust Bowl refugee. We are ramblers, so they say, we are only here today, and we travel with the seasons. We're the Dust Bowl refugees from the Southland and the drought land. Come the wife and kids and me. This old world is just a hard world for that Dust Bowl refugee. Yes, we wander and we work in your crops and in your fruit, like the whirlwinds on the desert. That's a Dust Bowl refugee. That's a Dust Bowl refugee. Now, how could a person cook or keep house when the dirt inside was roughly equivalent to the dirt outside? It was quite a challenge. When the cattle had grazed or the dust drifts had buried every stick and stubble in the fields, children were sent out to gather cow chips or prairie coal to fire up the stove. It was a complete waste of time to waste dishes, to wash dishes. So many a family set aside its prior adherence to hygiene and ate their meals communally directly out of the pot at the stove, popping the lid back on between spoonfuls to keep the dirt out. It wasn't enough to store foodstuffs in glass jars or tin canisters. That fine dust sifted its way into any kind of container engineered by humanity. Even the wash that was hung indoors to dry was dirty in the dirty 30s. Midwest housewives revived a lament sung in the 1860s, the type of song after which many contemporary folk singers patterned their songs. This one has just a cheerful refrain I know you're going to love when we get to it. One day I was walking, I heard a complaining, and saw an old woman, the picture of gloom. She gazed at the mud on her doorstep, it was raining, and this was her song as she wielded her broom. Life is a toil and love is a trouble. Beauty will fade and riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle and prices they double, and nothing is as I would wish it to be. Isn't that cheerful? Here are the words. Life is a toil and love is a trouble. Beauty will fade and riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle and prices they double, and nothing is as I would wish it to be. Now just put your whole heart into it next time it comes around. There's too much of worryment goes to a bonnet. There's too much of ironing goes to a shirt. There's nothing that pays for the time you waste on it. There's nothing that lasts us but trouble and dirt. Oh, life is a toil and love is a trouble. Beauty will fade and riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle and prices they double, and nothing is as I would wish it to be. I noticed everybody sang the phrase about prices doubling. March it is mud, it is slush in December. The midsummer breezes are loaded with dust. In fall the leaves litter in muddy September. The wallpaper rots and the candlesticks rust. Oh, life is a toil and love is a trouble. Beauty will fade and riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle and prices they double, and nothing is as I would wish it to be. Now, gentlemen, you're falling down on the job here. I need to hear some tenor and bass voices. There's worms on the cherries and slugs on the roses, and ants in the sugar and mice in the pies. The rubbish of spiders no mortal supposes, and ravaging rodents and damaging flies. Life is a toil and love is a trouble. Beauty will fade and riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle and prices they double, and nothing is as I would wish it to be. With grease and with grime from corner to center, forever at war and forever alert. No rest for a day lest the enemy enter. I spend my whole life in a struggle with dirt. Oh, life is a toil and love is a trouble. Beauty will fade and riches will flee. Pleasures they dwindle and prices they double, and nothing is as I would wish it to be. I can tell you all feel better now. It behooved a person to be enterprising and imaginative during the Great Depression, the name by which these years of hardship came to be known. Old farm implements that had lain in quiet retirement behind the barn might bring in a few dollars as scrap iron. A person whose conscience wasn't overly active could buy eggs on credit at the local store, drive down the road a few miles, and sell them for cash in the next town. Before Prohibition was repealed in 1933, some farmers supplemented their meager or non-existent income by making home-brewed whiskey. From time to time, somebody's improvised bootleg distillery, well perforated and duly dismembered, was put on display in the center of town as an example of law enforcement and moral vigilance. Then it was sold, along with other confiscated property, at public auction. Before long, someone had it repaired and back in business again, no doubt. After Franklin Roosevelt became president in 1932, half the population of Oklahoma went on federal relief programs. The Civilian Conservation Corps and the Civil Works Administration put millions of men and women back to work in 1933. In 1935, the Works Progress Administration employed writers, artists, and actors in federally funded programs. The Social Security Act provided pensions for the elderly and the handicapped. As extensive and innovative as these programs were, there never seemed to be enough of the relief pie to feed all who came to the table. Woody Guthrie offered some suggestions to the president. In his opinion, there was more crops and less groceries in the Texas Panhandle than any other dad-burned place in the universe. Well, the worst came from the north on April 14, 1935. A brown, rolling, billowing dust cloud like none that had come before. People were convinced it was the end of the world. Retribution for the steel plows tearing up the plains, for the oil rigs sucking the lifeblood out of the earth, and for the crimes of the human race since time began. They believed it was their doom.
On the
Sunday. That was what that day was called. Huddled up like scared rabbits in cellars, churches, and store basements. People started paying their last respects to each other, saying, well, so long. It's been good to know you. Woody Guthrie made that phrase into the chorus of a farewell song.